Hi, I'm Trevor from trevordumbleton.com, and today we're going to talk about, in internet marketing and probably a lot of other places, why I think you should always under-promise and over-deliver. And we're bombarded by what could best be called hype from a really early age. Television commercials pretty much make sure of that. But that also means that it doesn't take us very long to actually tune out from most of the hype at an early age as well. We don't tune out totally, and especially if the hype is under the control of a really good copywriter, then they'll know exactly how to press all the right buttons to near enough compel us to buy, or certainly compel enough people to buy. And a really good copywriter on the web can get in excess of 10%, which is unheard of in direct mail terms, but happens quite regularly on internet marketing terms. So yeah, those are some very highly paid people out there that will do that. But it certainly happens often enough for our built-in anti-hype defense mechanism to equally kick in and protect us from at least a good number of potentially rash decisions, or ones that we'd end up with what's best known as buyer's remorse about. And that's why under-promising, over-delivering works so well, because hard sell doesn't work as well anymore. It just doesn't. I was reading an excerpt from an Amazon book recently and that's the look inside. Was I going to buy it? I don't think so. It didn't tell me stuff I wanted to spend $20 on finding out more about. But they said that their particular company let every single phone call go to voicemail, and they rarely returned any calls, because something like 95%, so that's 19 out of 20, were just salespeople cold calling in the vain hope of finding a buyer. And another big company I'm aware of, because I have dealings with it, has an answering machine message that tells callers they need to email them. They just don't accept inbound phone messages, even from customers. Scary. And the web's going the same way. It's lots and lots of defense mechanisms are being put up just because you have to. We've had anti-spam for ages, that kind of works most of the time-ish, and lots of other things, and we're tuning out so many messages. And personally, whenever I reach a page that's obviously full of hype, the video starts playing automatically, there's nothing I can do apart from click away or watch it. Maybe there's a countdown timer or 2 or 3, or every time I scroll. There are claims that I'll make eye-watering amounts of money by pretty much yesterday, or maybe reach my ideal weight by next week, but still eating all the chocolate and ice cream I want, possibly only if they supply it, because obviously it's a special recipe that only they know, that no other food manufacturer in the world knows, all that kind of rubbish. You know the kind of page. And personally, I'll usually click the back button or close the tab, and that also sells the hard up, please don't go, I'm sorry, exit pop-up that you then sometimes leads to a cheaper deal, sometimes leads you to a slightly less hypey page, sometimes whatever. Sometimes you'll click and sometimes you won't. And those kind of pages almost certainly over-promise, under-deliver, partly because it'd be very, very difficult for them to do anything else, because the claims are just so unreal. And they're one of the reasons that the FTC in the States and here in the UK the Advertising Standards Authority exists, to try and protect us from some of them things at least. And consumers are getting wiser, and they're checking out reviews before they go buy that kind of product. Again, if it was one that I was even vaguely thinking about, I'd type in the product name in quote marks and review, and then I'd filter out all the ones that are obviously the affiliates trying to get the fast buck, because obviously it's the best thing since sliced bread, you've got to buy this. And that kind of review again doesn't cut it. But that's the over-promising side. Under-promising, a lot better, because you flip that idea around and under-promise what you're selling, and when you do that, some really interesting things start to happen. Your potential customers drop their guard, or at least drop it a little bit, because they're just not used to sales pages that aren't really trying to sell. And if you add in what copywriters term a damaging admission, and admit that whatever it is you're selling or giving away isn't perfect, that works well as well. Because we all know deep down nothing's perfect. If nothing else, our computers and phones have taught us that with their constant new updates and operating systems. And virtually every time you turn Windows on, the phone's pretty much the same. A new version's there, so the last one obviously wasn't perfect. So why pretend that you're delivering the only product or service in the planet that's perfect? Because you know it isn't. It can't be. So under-promising what you're giving or selling the customer is probably one of the best ways actually nowadays of selling. Because when they get your product or service, they'll be pleasantly surprised that you've given them so much more than you said on your sales page. It's happened to me with a product I was promoting recently. It claimed to be a complete training on creating digital products, and yeah, it was. Complete is an understatement, because it also delivered on how to keep people who've bought your product happy, so in other words, keeping your list happy, how to create articles to promote your product, how to build a list, and how to create a sales funnel. And that's a lot more than just how to create a digital product. It all goes along with it, yeah, but it's not what you kind of expect just from the headline. And in this particular instance, it was maybe over-delivering too much, because there's a definite risk of overwhelm when you hit a product that has something like 12 hours worth of audios, and it did for, I think, well, under $10 when I was selling it. But it gets people on your side, and it gets them talking positively about the product you just sold them, because even if they don't use everything, and they probably won't, it's just a pleasant surprise to find something that over-delivers. It doesn't have to over-deliver by us that much, but if it does, that's good news. So put your thinking cap on, work out how you can implement this in your internet marketing business, whatever it is. If it's a free giveaway, maybe 3 free giveaways or something like that, but more likely just an extra bullet point or 2 on here's extra stuff you can do. That will work fine. If it's a product, a bonus, unannounced bonuses, again, they're a little bit blasé, they're a little bit cheap, but if they're done properly, they work really well. And what you'll find is you get word of mouth, and people saying, well, actually that person isn't all hype, they actually know what they're talking about, they're not just blowing hot air. And that can be a really positive way to generate traffic and sales, because people will tweet about you, mention you on Facebook, do all sorts of things that they wouldn't do if you were just under-delivering. So give it a go. And if you'd like to know more, pop along to my website, trevordumbleton.com, or just subscribe to this channel. That'll work as well. Okay, thanks very much.